Hi, welcome to the Berry Nation podcast, where we support the community with humor, humility, and honesty. My name is Jason.
I'm Natalie, and we have a very special guest with us today, Miss Tanya. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, I'm honored.
Yes, we're so excited to chat with you. Not only is your story just incredible, inspiring, all of the things. But we also wanted to chat with you about how you're staying steady over the summer. We know that you've had some anniversaries that you have been kind of reflecting on and things. So we just wanted to chat with you. But first, before we dive in, can you introduce yourself? Who are you? What surgery did you have?
I am Tanya. I am in the Pacific Northwest, just outside of Portland, almost to the coast of Oregon. And I had VSG July 30th of 2020 in the height of COVID. And I am 54 years old, so I am like one of those older patients. So it is for everyone. And my handle on Instagram is VSG My Way Tanya. And I'm a grandma and I'm a widow.
Yes.
So that's kind of where my story is.
Yes. And some of us even call you Mama T because she is such a mom to all of us. I hung out with you over the last weekend in wine country in Washington, and we just had a blast. And it was fun for me to get to know you a little bit more over that weekend.
It was great.
Well, and that's one of the amazing things about you and your story, Tanya, is because not only are you all of these things, but you're also a very avid traveler. Like, you do things, you do not let your age, the surgery, anything, and circumstances that have happened to you, any part of your story, none of that holds you back from doing all that you want to do in life. Like, every time we see you, you're somewhere different or doing something new or a new adventure. So that's one of the most amazing things that has captivated us about your story from the beginning. So.
Well, life is short. I learned that when my husband was killed, and I had surgery not to be on the sideline of my life anymore. Mm-hmm. And so that I had started that process. I was 4 months post-op, and we were involved. We were hit head on by a driver, and my husband was killed. And I actually coded on the way to the hospital and spent a week in the ICU. I was on a ventilator, and I had 2 major surgeries on my abdomen where part of my lower intestines was removed, and my cat's making noise. And as I'm getting deep here. And so I had that. I had 9 broken ribs. I had a broken eye socket, a broken cheekbone, and I had to start all over at 4 months post-op, where I had just started eating. I had just started doing things and moving and feeling good and getting comfortable with my new life from having, 80% of my stomach removed. Then all of this hit me, and I was alone, essentially. I spent a week with my daughter and family and my grandkids, and they were amazing and took the most wonderful care of me. And then I came home, and then it was just me and my kitties. And I knew, though, because of having gastric sleeve surgery, how important movement is. Mm-hmm. And even though I had broken ribs and all of this pain and 47 staples down my abdomen and all of, I always say I had broken bones, a broken heart, and a broken soul. But I didn't let it break me, because I knew I had to move my body. So I would go outside and I would walk part way down, and I'd come back. And I'd do it every few hours. As hard as it was, I would do it, because I knew from having my surgery how important that was in the beginning of that. And I knew how important getting my protein in and how important getting my water in. And so I just went back to those basics of having a protein shake or drinking my water and moving my body. And they kept saying, "We can't believe how fast you're healing. We can't believe you're doing these things." And it was like, well, it was either that or they were going to make me go to a rehab center. And I had no way in heck was I going to do that. People go there to die or get sick. And I wasn't doing that. Wasn't happening. And I didn't care. I had great neighbors around me. I had a great group of people. And I really wasn't alone. I mean, I had this community of people that I had just started getting to know that rallied around me. And I was just like, who are these strangers? And why are they sending me messages and well wishes and cards in the mail? Like, this is weird. They don't know me. But I had also went on Instagram and just started talking, and it was like therapy for me.
Mhm.
Not only that, I have a great therapist who's a unicorn because she deals with all the same mental issues I do and is a bariatric patient.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, like the stars have aligned in my journey for me, even though shit has happened.
Mhm.
Well, and the kind of the thing about it that is a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's like you're having to try to rebuild after surgery, which is super hard anyway. And a lot of people, deal with the grief of grieving their past life and the uncertainty of how they're going to live their new life, because it's, nobody knows. We don't know how to live healthy because we never have, obviously, because, we do the things. So you try to build that roadmap of how that's going to go for you. But at the same time, you're dealing with the rest of your life, falling apart basically at the same time, having to heal from surgeries that you had to have to save your life. But the blessing out of all of that is the fact that the protein that you have to take in for healing from the surgery, from the VSG, is also what helped you heal your injuries from the accident at the same time. Because we've learned early on that, all the protein that we do is specifically to heal our bodies from the intake of protein. So I couldn't imagine, like when I hear you talk about what you did, had to go through post-op, I'm like, I quit caffeine a year ahead of time so I didn't have to go through caffeine withdrawals and recovering at the same time. So I can't even begin to imagine what it was like to have to try to put your life back together at the same time you're trying to heal from not only your VSG surgery, but all the surgeries you had to, go through just to be here today.
Yeah, and I won't lie, it was hard. It was completely hard, but I also really struggled and I dug deep inside of me and said, I can either come home and curl up in a ball in the fetal position and cry and feel bad for myself, or I can find joy.
Yep.
And I'm like, I would rather find joy versus the other. I would rather find happiness. And I don't get me wrong. I mean, it's been 2 years and I still break down and cry. I still have moments, or something will happen, or I'll see something, or a memory will pop up on my phone of things. And I'm just like, and I feel those feelings and I move through the feelings. And I always say, everybody goes, well, how have you moved on? How can you move on? Well, I've not moved on, but I move forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference. And that's where a lot of people, I think, even if with our weight loss surgery, you're not moving on from your former life. You're not moving on from being that fat kid or the, whatever your situation was, the unhealthy person. You're never, ever moving on from it, but you're moving forward into a new chapter, into a new part of your life. And I think that when we change those little words, it changes our mindset to where we can do better. Because it's not about all of the other things. It's about how we can change those one word and do better.
Yeah, because those of us who have had surgery know that, or anybody who's lost weight knows, you don't ever lose the person you were.
No.
You're not. That person stays with you like a shadow for the rest of your life. Because you never forget where you came from, kind of thing. It's like, oh, it's always there in the back of your mind. And sometimes it's there in the front of your mind because you look in the mirror and you see yourself as who you used to be, not who you did. But one of the best ways you can honor who you want to be is by showing up for yourself every day and doing what you say. It's moving forward, but never forgetting where, what brought you here in the first place.
Right.
And as I was listening to you speak, Tanya, we grieve our past selves, and to have to go through not only grieving your past self, but also grieving someone so close to you. It's like the two are not different. They're very synonymous. And I've been thinking about grief lately. My grandma passed away 2 years ago. Been having kind of a day today, but it pops up, like you said, every once in a while. You'll just be eating breakfast like I was this morning, and you're like, whew, oh man, like something just hit me.
Yeah.
But it happens with our past selves, my 400-pound self, and our loved ones.
Yep.
So I can't even imagine. I mean, I can, but yours was so close together. I can't imagine having to go through those two processes of grief together.
It was not, I can't even say the word was hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
I can't, I mean, my husband and I were together almost 30 years, 2 wonderful children, my best friend, and life wasn't perfect. As we know, relationships are not perfect. And for me to say it was great and flowers all the time, I'd be lying. So I won't lie. And, but we raised 2 great kids. We had 3 great grandkids, 3 wonderful grandchildren. And my daughter lives close by. My son lives in Australia. So that little piece was really hard for me, and it is really hard for me because he's not been here through any of this with me. And for him to come home, it was dumb. I'm like, no, you're not coming home. You need to stay there and live your best life, because you need to come home and watch mom be sad. And then I even thought about that. It's like, no, mom's not sad. I didn't have unsaid business with my husband. And I could have come home also and pulled out the Doritos that he had in the pantry, because that's what he ate, 5'10" and 130 pounds his whole life. He didn't understand. He would always say to me, well, just go on a diet or exercise. I'm not going to say the things that I said to him about that. Okay. But it was hard for him, but he supported me in doing this because he understood that I wanted to take my health back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even times now where I'm like, I could have easily pulled those Doritos out and sat and tried to eat my feelings away. It would have upset my stomach, but I didn't do it. I didn't allow myself, because I felt like I did this to honor me first and foremost. So I'm going to take care of me, but I also need to honor that support he was giving me in the beginning by continuing to do the right things and to continue to grow myself into this healthier, happier life. That, like I said, it doesn't mean I still don't get sad and I don't have moments, but I also laugh a lot about things that we did, because we did great things. We traveled a lot with our kids. They grew up driving race cars, and we were in the road a lot of family time in the car, talking and listening to stuff on the radios and all of that. And so even now, like when I'm traveling and I take my travel trailer out and go somewhere, something will come on the radio and I will laugh out loud in the car all by myself. And I'm sure the people in the car next to me are looking over going, what's wrong with that lady? She's over there laughing at herself. But it's what we have to do as human beings to survive stuff. We have to feel it. We have to go through it, and we have to understand it. And that's kind of my cycle.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the best way to look at it, because you had the opportunity when what you thought was the rest of your life turned out to not be the rest of your life. When what you thought was laid out for you turned out to absolutely take the hardest left turn it could take. You're faced with 2 options. Like you said, you can curl up, eat the Doritos, or you can honor your best self, honor your husband's wishes and his support, and move forward. And so many of us, when we're faced with those challenges, just automatically revert back to how we used to be and try to eat those feelings or try to come up, I, you know, pales in comparison, but my mother, I'm Tuesday will be her the 8th anniversary of her passing. And so it's just, it's one of those things that I know it's coming. My Facebook's going to be horrible the next few days because the memories are going to be leading up to where we thought she was going to get better. And then she passed. And then all, the next week or so is just going to be off. But at the same time, much like you say, much like, the rest of us are talking about, it comes a choice. You have a choice, you have an option, you can deal with it head on, which is only going to help benefit you in your journey moving forward. Not leaving your old self behind, but moving forward with the way life is going to be now, because you're the author of your story. At the end of the day, you're the one that writes the ending. So it can end however you want it to. So while like you said, it's going to be hard, it will be very hard. It's not every day is going to be rainbows and gumdrops and all the things. There's going to be tough times. But this is where your support system comes in the most handy. You have to have people around you that are going to support you, but also hold you accountable at the same time.
Yes.
Because a lot of us want to just fold into the emotions and just let it sweep us away. But you have to have somebody there with a lifeline that's going to pull you back, that will not allow you, give you a little bit of leeway to kind of be like, oh, well, this kind of sucks and it's sad. Absolutely it does. Let's go through those together. Like, talk to me about the emotions. Let's talk through it. Do whatever processes need to be done, whether it's let you cry it out, whether it's whatever that may be, whatever it looks like, it has to look like a way that you can process those emotions without harming yourself in the process.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I've told, the people around me, like, if you see me maybe too many days in a row, not maybe doing the best that I should be doing, check on me, call me out on it, make me question me.
Yep.
And do it and I think we can do that for people. I think that we can check in on them without being like, what are you doing wrong? But more of a, how are you doing? What can I do for you? Are you sure you're making the right choices right now?
Absolutely.
Kind of put it back to us to have to then reflect on, maybe I'm not making the best choices. Maybe I need to be doing something better, all of those things. And it's hard. And it's hard not knowing like what to say sometimes. And that's why I tell people all the time, I am an open book. Say whatever you want to me, because you're not going to offend me.
I think that's something that's really nice about this community, though, is that because we all have a history with, eating and being bigger and maybe not being socially accepted and things like that, I think that's where I've found solace and a place of comfort, because, Jason and Tanya, you both know, like, I'm very opinionated, but I'm also nice about it. And that's how all my friends are too. And I feel like, yeah, we can call each other out and be like, hey, like, I noticed, are you doing okay? And we can say, oh yeah. And you go, really? Are you? No.
Like, you answered that a little too quick.
Yeah.
Well, and that's my favorite way to do it, is just to reach out and be like, hey, you've been kind of quiet lately. Is everything good? That's the best way to kind of get the conversation starter of it all, because the answer is going to tell you everything you need to know as to whether or not it's time to dig a little deeper, or you let the answer ride. I mean, if you know the people you're talking to, there's going to be telltale signs where you're going to be like, yeah, but like, let's probe this a little deeper.
Yeah.
So Tanya, this big, 2 huge events happened very close together for you. How, as a bariatric patient, how have you been able to kind of help yourself move forward in, I guess, more of a bariatric way?
For me, has been to put me first, which is something most of us don't do, something I never knew that was acceptable or the right thing to do. I have completely learned how to say no. I've learned how to put myself first. And I've learned that if I am taking care of me, I'm better for the people around me. And It's the weirdest thing ever. Unfortunately, my mom never did that and doesn't do that. And I've watched her health go down.
Yeah.
And I think that has helped me also, like seeing the people that don't do that and realizing and learning how I feel about myself. Like I can honestly say, like, this is the first time in my entire life I not only like myself, I love who I am. I love me for me. And it's weird to say it out loud, but it's also true. And so I think by doing things for me and doing things that make me happy, it's helped me make the good choices.
Yeah.
It's helped me on the days where I feel like crap and just want to sit on the couch and maybe not make good choices and binge watch TV. Go, okay, well, I'm going to feel these feelings today, but I can't watch 10 episodes of whatever until I go walk a mile where I live. Then I can come back and I can have my pity party on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And then I need to go walk another mile.
Yeah.
And that's
and a lot of times by the time you're done with that walk on the mile, you probably don't want to sit and binge watch 10 episodes of anything, because that gets your body going and the endorphins and everything else. And and the sadness kind of, you had time to process all the shit that you were going to be sad about on your walk, and by the time you get back, you're all jazzed up and energized, so you're like, oh, let's do something else. So I mean, that's amazing.
And it's hard. It's hard to do. But I also have been like that person who I don't have somebody right here next to me. I mean, and a lot of people don't have somebody. I mean, Nat, you're single, you're there by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you don't have that person right there giving you the stink eye of go move your body or go whatever. So you have to look in the mirror and give it to yourself.
Oh yeah. I mean, so.
And I know that sounds weird, but.
No, it doesn't, because I kind of went through that Friday, Saturday this weekend, because I work 4/10, so I have 3 days off on the weekends, which is great. But I was like, man, I'm just exhausted. I've been go, so it's like, okay, I'm just gonna like not do anything this weekend, which I did for 2 days. I'll say 1.5 days, because then yesterday I was like, your house is a mess. You haven't gotten off the couch in like 2 days since you got off work. Like, come on, you haven't walked Hooper, like poor Hooper sitting over there, like sad. And I was like, okay, enough, like get up, and I had to give myself that talk, because I don't have anyone here who's like, all right, let's go do something. I have to be that person for myself, which is very hard. And then I had the same issue today. This morning, I got up early. I was like, okay, today's going to be a good day. And then I got like grief hit me, and I was like, oh, never mind. I just want to be on the couch today. And then I look over it. I guess Hooper is my person, because he'll kind of look at me like, are we gonna go outside? And so I did that, but it's hard. Like you said, it's hard to motivate yourself.
It's super hard. I mean, I don't have a dog to do. I have cats that stay in the house and they just jump all over me. So, and whine here in the back, but they, this is a difficult journey for anyone. To take control of your life. And that's what we do when we have bariatric surgery. No matter which surgery we have, it's to take control of our lives. It's not to get skinny. It's not to look a certain way. And it's not. It's to get healthy and to be active and be part of our life. I mean, that's the bottom line. And at least for me. And so I can't sit around and have a pity party all the time.
No.
As hard as it is, Keith's birthday, our anniversaries, our, the date of his death, the trial being put over, all of the things that I get hit with all the time. And it's like, okay, I can't change it. So what can I do? What's in my control?
Yeah.
And what's in my control is finding happiness and finding joy, finding my rainbows. Yeah. That's always been our sign. We always say, because the day of the accident, my daughter left her house to meet at the hospital, and there was this huge rainbow. And so we see rainbows every time something really hard to, like when you're squirting your hose and you're watering your plants, and sometimes there's that little rainbow you'll see in there. I see that. Those are the little where I get my little moments. Those are my little signs of you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're doing the right thing. It might be hard, Tanya, but you're doing it.
Well, and that's kind of the hardest thing that people kind of take for granted, I guess, is the fact that hard stuff's gonna happen. Like, you're not in this, just because you had surgery, it doesn't mean life's gonna take it easy on you. Doesn't mean you're gonna get a break, so that you can figure out how to deal with it all. Like you said, I mean, it happened really quick after you had your surgery. So you could get hit in the face with something the very next day after you have a surgery. You're not going to be prepared to deal with it, but you're going to have to find a way through it, because on the other side of that is your rainbow, like what you had talked about. You're going to find your rainbow, but it's going to be on the other side of the hard stuff. You've got to trudge through it. But, those processing those emotions are super important, because one of the things I like to say about things like that is it's like you have to treat it like it's a loading zone. You can park there for a minute, but you got to unpack that shit, and you got to keep it moving, because somebody's going to come along and tell you got to move anyway. So it's okay to sit there in a minute, sit with it, stew in it, think about it, but then you got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
I like that, Jason.
Yeah. It is like a loading zone. It really, yeah, you got to feel it. I think the main thing for us as bariatric patients is actually feeling our emotions, acknowledging our emotions, naming our emotions. I mean, I never did that before surgery. No. I ate my emotions.
Right. Yeah, we had one speed, and it was just eat it. Like, I didn't give a shit what it was called. I didn't care to name it. I just wanted to get rid of it. Numb it out.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean,
put pants on and eat all the food.
Exactly. Or just take your pants off and sit on the couch. That's what I did. I was like, screw pants.
This is a no pants situation. It's serious.
The no pants zone.
No pants zone. Oh, I mean, that's what I did this morning. I was eating breakfast. The grief hit me. I cried over my breakfast. I finished my breakfast. And then I forced myself to go outside and walk, because I was like, you know what? It's not even worth it. It's not worth sitting here all day. It's beautiful, kind of shining. Like, just get out.
Well, and that's one of the ways I've kind of dealt with, like I said, with my mom's situation, is like, I look at it in a way that, because my brother is older than I am, but he's completely wrecked and devastated, and he will never be the same since she's been gone. And I hate that for him, because I always thought, like, from the moment she passed, like, I spent 10 weeks with her in the hospital before she went. Her and I left nothing on the table. Like, everything was out. So I know before she passed, she grabbed my hand, told me it was going to be okay. And, things went the way they went. But for me, I always look at it in a way of, would she be okay with me sitting here like this and just being destroyed and never living my life to the full potential I could have lived it? Or would she look at me and tell me, what are you doing? Get up, do what you got to do. Like, you got to be like, because she was professional all the way to the end. Like, that was just her thing. Like, she was very proper professional. Like, that was her shit. So she was like, that was my thing. Like, I didn't get to just sit around and just not do anything. Like, for her, it was, push forward, do the things, do all you got to do. Like, my dad bailed on us when I was 9 years old. She was a single stay-at-home mom. Like, at that point, she was a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids. She didn't have a job because she had been working for him, doing his billing and paperwork and stuff for his business. So she didn't have a job. She didn't have contacts. She didn't have nothing. She reached out to somebody from like 10 years before, when she had a job working in the Senate, worked her way up from nothing, from a housewife, all the way up to the executive vice president of the Oklahoma Bankers Association, and was killing it. And did that from, like, my pops just being like, all right, man, I'm out. And luckily it was summertime. So, or it was bad enough it was summertime, because she had to find daycare for 2 kids and go try to find a job and do something with a mortgage. Like, she just had literally everything dumped in her lap. And so from watching her build and do those things, like there was not an option for us to just not do shit. Like I couldn't just sit around and be like, I'm so like, of course I was devastated that I lost my mother, but at the same time, there was things that needed to be done. So it was about pushing and moving forward, getting the things done, and always thinking about the amazing times we had together. But I couldn't dwell on the fact that I didn't have her here. Like that wasn't an option, because like Tanya said, you can't change it.
No.
Nothing. I could lay in bed for 2 months and eat nothing but shit all day long. She's not going to come back through the door and be like, stop eating those things, get up and do something for you. Like, so you have to find a way that maneuvers you through that. And that doesn't have to be losing someone special. It can be literally anything you deal with in life. If you can change it, get up and do it, because changing it's not going to happen from laying down, feeling sorry for yourself, eating your feelings, any of those things. None of that changes what's in front of you at that time. You have to get up and put the work in to move whatever's in front of you out of the way so that you can continue to move forward.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had lost my dad a few years ago too. He was very young, and my husband actually had quit his job and was my dad's caretaker. My dad had a double lung transplant, and then we got 8 more years with him, and then he got cancer in the lungs.
Damn.
And my mom had a grand mal seizure and a stroke. And my mom's only 73 now. And so it was like all of those things. And my dad died the same day we took my son to college. He was waiting for, I think, Caleb to leave to go to school before he knew it was coming, because he had asked me, are you going to take tomorrow off work? And I was like, well, I think I'm going to go to the office, and then we're going to take Caleb down to Ashland for school. Okay. And his last basically things he said was to my mom was, oh, Caleb's going to be fine.
Oh.
And that was it. And so it's like, I've had like all of these things. And it was kind of like after him dying, I kind of went on that healthy, like I'm going to get fit. Yeah. Instead, I kind of did I'm going to eat late at night when nobody knows. And then it got bad.
During the day. I look like I'm trying during the day.
Then at nighttime, when everybody's in bed, I'm going to be in there like the little rat in the cupboard.
Yeah.
The lies we tell ourselves, as long as we make it look good, we can tell ourselves anything as long as it looks good to everybody else. We're the worst to ourselves, and that's the hardest part about this whole journey.
Yep. So I'm glad that I made this decision, because I told Natalie and the girls when we were in Walla Walla, bariatric surgery saved my life.
Yeah.
And it not just that healthy physical part of what it gave me, but it gave me a community of people that when I had the hard shit hit with the accident, that I had this outlet, that I had meaning. And I always say, and anybody that follows me on Instagram knows I talk about it all. I don't hide anything. I talk about mental health. I talk about grief. I talk about weight loss. I talk about it all. I don't care. Because if I can help one person understand that they're not alone, that this is hard, life in general is hard. Life is not easy. And it is what we make of it. I didn't choose for that person to make the choice that day to drive and kill my husband. No. But I did make the choice to take care of me. And that's where I'm at.
Well, your surgery, and we talked about this too, your surgery kind of taught you how to take care of yourself for the after of the accident. I mean, you mentioned it before, you were getting in protein, you were walking, you did all of the things.
It saved me. Exactly. It is a life-changing, life-saving surgery. It's not the easy way for anybody. No. And it makes me mad when I hear that. Like it makes me angry. Beyond angry.
Will come for you.
and the thing about it is to add on to that, it is life-changing and life-saving, but it's also for life. Like it is not everybody wants to get to the end of the journey, if I get to my goal weight, it's all going to be better. Like that's the end. I can be done. No, dude, this is forever. I've seen people. Yeah. I mean, people like you're going to be in this, and like the end zone is when you die. Like you're a bariatric patient forever. Like that's it. The journey never stops. Like, you're just there, you're doing it, whether it's, you know, pre-op, post-op, maintenance, whatever the hell that may be, whatever that looks like. Hit your goal weight, that's awesome. Guess what? Now you gotta stay there.
You know, and I
Right.
want to be healthy for my grandkids. I want to show, I mean, you got grandkids, Jason, don't you want to be around for them? And
Absolutely.
set that great example for them. I don't want my grandkids to think that I'm just sad all the time and unhealthy. I mean, they even notice now, they're like, Grammy, you can run with us now and you can get up off the floor without going, well, I still make those noises, but it's a different kind of way to do it.
There's a difference in
Okay,
the age and the weight grown. The age grown and the weight grown are way different.
Totally
Totally.
You know, but it's, we want to set those examples for our kids and the people, you know.
Well,
So
even with our family members, I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that like my cousin had surgery after me, it's like you want to be there for people in your life.
well, you want to be there for you,
Yes. Yeah.
for your life.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and
Right.
as people pleasers, as most of us have been all of our lives, because we want to save those relationships, because nobody will want us if we're just here for us. If we're not doing things for them and saving the world for everybody else, like they're gonna realize that we don't need to be around. So I never really understood. It never really hit me, the two analogies that I stick with the most are: you can't pour from an empty cup and put your oxygen mask on before you help anybody else. Those two things really never hit home until I was trying to learn to stop helping everybody else. And people get so worried about that. And yeah, your phone may quit ringing for a little while. Your phone may get a little quiet. You may stop getting a few text messages, but guess what? Those aren't the people you need in your circle anyway. If
Nope.
those people are only around for what you could do for them, then that's not serving you at all anyway. You need to be around people that are going to be in your circle cheering you on during the worst and the best times, for no other reason than they just want to see you win.
Yep.
Totally.
And I think that's the thing, you know, I get messages all the time like, I want to have surgery, but I'm scared. And yeah, it's scary. It still is. Like, I'm almost 2 years post-op and I'm still scared, like every day. I don't want to be 400 pounds again. But you will not find one person who regrets having surgery.
I know people that have had the most amount of complications you can have, and the people that have almost died multiple times post-op. And
Yeah.
every one of them still say the same thing: I'd do it 100 times over.
I can honestly say, though, I do know somebody that regrets having the surgery.
Really?
Actually just had a conversation with them last week, and
Wow.
it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
And they regret it because they've not done the work.
Yes. It's easier to blame the surgery than it is to blame yourself.
And it's exactly what I said. We had the same surgeon. We're 30 days apart from one another. And that individual has chose not to make the right choices. They chose.
Yeah.
So they say they regret the surgery. It didn't work for them. And I said, actually, the surgery did work for you. You didn't work for the surgery.
Yeah.
100%. That's the hardest conversation to have with yourself, is the one where you not only point the blame, but accept the blame and realize that you could have done better, but chose not to.
Yep. And
Sure.
that's where I full circle back. I've made these choices. I could have made choices that were different than what I made, but they were my choices to not be sad, to not be broken,
Yeah.
to feel my feels and not to eat my feels. And like, I like the sit in it for a moment and it's a loading zone. That's
Yep.
gonna be my new one.
It's a good one. Jason says it often and I always, you're right. Okay. It's a
True.
loading zone. I'm gonna park here because some man in an orange vest is gonna come over and yell at me.
You yell window tap and tell you got to keep it moving. You got to go.
So before we wrap up, Tanya, I would like to ask you, this summer, I know has been a great summer, but I know from following you, it's also been full of some feels, just with some anniversaries and surgiversaries. What have been some tools that you've used to stay steady this summer?
So for me, it's meal prepping, planning, not necessarily prepping, but planning. So I grocery shop with intention of what I'm going to have in the house. I journal a lot. And even if I don't have something to write down, even if it's one word I write, or if it's word vomit all over my journal, if I don't have it with me, I use my notes section in my iPhone. Leaving Walla Walla, I don't think I've shared this with you. Leaving and backing out of the driveway, I got a text from a friend, and then all of a sudden I started bawling. Like, I just had this great weekend with these wonderful friends. A friend was checking in on me to say, hey, you know, drive safe home, blah, blah, blah. Let me know when you get home, check in. And it just made me cry. Like, I have all these people in my life, and it just like hit me. And I immediately hit the record button on my notes section and like word vomited all these feelings into it.
Aww.
So that's kind of been my way. You know, one of the big things this summer that I dealt with was storage unit things. Like, we have these storage units, and I've had to go through Keith's stuff that I hadn't done yet. And he left quite the mess for me in there. And I cursed him a little, but he was never a good organizer. That's me. And I asked for help. That was really hard for me to do because that's not something that I do. I asked a neighbor if they could come help me to go through it all, not do it for me, but just having that person there.
Yes.
And to like physically do some of the stuff that I couldn't do because it was heavy tools and different things. Or asking my son-in-law for help that I needed to have my home pressure washed versus doing things. So learning to ask for help and giving myself the grace to do it. Those are some of the big things to stay on track for me.
That's huge. I mean, asking for help is huge, especially when dealing with those heavy tasks, both physically and mentally.
I was going to say, I was like, it was heavy in more than one way. But yeah.
Totally. And I, you know, one of my cousins and I, we grew up very close to each other. Our moms were best friends. Her mom passed away about 10 years ago. And about 3 years ago, she and my uncle were cleaning out their storage unit. Same thing. I mean, it was a mess. It hadn't been touched in, 8 years. And it was the same thing. I didn't do a lot, but I was there. And for them to ask for my help, I know it was needed because they also don't ask for help. So I'm glad that you did do that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to ask for help. I'm a very independent. My parents always said that I was just a very strong-willed child, meaning I was a brat.
Yes.
But I definitely am. I'm very much I don't ask for help. I don't seek it out. But I've learned, and that's part of taking care of me now, is it's okay to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people in our position really feel that, like, we really hate to ask for help, because I'm the same exact way. Like, I'll try to do anything by myself before I ask anybody to help me do anything.
Yeah.
But I love what you brought up about journaling, because you said, both ends of the spectrum. It can be one word or it can be word vomit. Because a lot of people think that they have to have these grand, like, 4-page journal entries that have to be published before they can go to bed. And it's one of those things, like, no matter when or where you journal, feelings are feelings. You can have one, you can write down in that shit, open it up and be like, happy, done, journal, journal entry done. You can write mad, sad, upset, whatever it may be. And sometimes writing that one word helps the other words to come after it. So it doesn't all, like, you don't have to open it with this grand plan of being this, gigantic journal entry to do it and it to help. And
I've done where I've just written shitty day, and the next day opened it up again and went, yesterday was a shitty day. Why was it shitty? Then, because I wasn't ready to deal with it. But when I saw that word again, then I was.
Yeah, and you start unpacking it and you realize, like, sometimes you may go back and look at it and realize and be like, well, I mean, I guess it wasn't that shitty. Like, it wasn't really that bad. Like, I could have written more context to it and said part of it was shitty, but I didn't let it encompass the entire day to be shitty, because that, people just assume that just because, like, you could have 10 wrong things happen to you before you even make it to work in the morning. That does not mean the rest of your day has to suck.
No.
It just means you had a bad morning.
Oh, I had a bad morning when I went to go meet the girls in Walla Walla.
Yeah. We all were having a morning. I swear, we all showed up and we just did a collective, like, okay, let's move on. Like, it was like we're in our little text thread and we're like, man, we're late. And Tanya shared her saga and I was like, it's okay, we had a morning too. And then but even just texting, I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly.
Like, I have text threads with friends, both in this community and not, and that's a journal. Like, you can just say, hey, I need to vent to someone. I need someone to text back to me. I do that to my friends all the time, and that's journaling. I have a gratitude journal. I still buy the ones on Amazon that I posted about like forever ago, because they're simple. You check in the morning, you check in at night, and you're good. And I can see, sometimes I can see that change, Jason, where I wake up, I'm in a sour mood. I'm upset about something. I just feel crummy for no reason. And then by the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, I worked through it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, that's the beauty of it, is realizing, I mean, and it's a mindset shift. It's legitimately like, we've been programmed to think that if your day starts bad, your day's just bad all the way through. But it doesn't always have to be that way. Like, it wouldn't matter if you had a great day in the morning and something shitty happened at lunch. And then guess what? At the end of the day, you can still wrap it up with a good day. You just have to be willing to look past whatever's in front of you at the time, because it's no worse than stepping over a puddle or a pile of trash or whatever else it may be. You just have to get around it and keep it moving. Like, it's not going to follow you. It's not going to, the rain cloud doesn't just follow you all day and just rain on you. Like, you're good. Like, you can step out of the way, get an umbrella, do what you got to do, but just keep it moving. Just find a way. Tanya, I'm going to just use this forever now. Just find your rainbow. Find your rainbow in whatever storm it may be, because that's how you keep pushing forward.
Absolutely.
It's what works for me.
Absolutely.
I love
it. Well, you are a very bright light in our community, so I'm gonna do what you do, because it seems to be working for you. So
Yes.
Well, we've been talking for about an hour now, so I think we can start wrapping up a little bit. We could go forever. I talk to Tanya all the time. We can talk forever. Tanya, where can people find you? I know you also have a little business that you do as well, if you'd like to share about that.
I do. I was not working, so just my husband was, and I'm like, oh, I kind of need to do something, but I don't want to go back to the workforce. So I started a little business, and I do little sublimation cups. Natalie has a few.
Couple.
And I just use my initials, TDB Creations LLC, and I'm on Instagram as well with that.
Yes, go check it out. She does customs. She has like a lot of really fun fall stuff. So,
or you can always text me like Nat with funny ideas.
Yeah. I send her all my ideas and I'm like, you can just create this for me. It's fine. I'll buy it later. Well, thank you for sharing your story. We really appreciate it. And we're just so lucky to have you in our community. And I'm glad that you're my friend.
Thank you. I'm the lucky one. Thank you, guys.
All right, Jason, you want to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. Tanya, we do thank you so much. Not just for today, but for always. You're always the brightest light, no matter where you go, no matter who you meet, no matter who you're around. You're the brightest light at the party, and we just can't thank you enough for that. You've helped all of us individually, collectively, and it's just amazing to have you in our circle. So we appreciate that. And for the community, we just appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing, continuing to spread the word about Bear Nation to those who may not know, because community is treatment, as Laura says, and we need all of the help that we can get. So continue to like, share, and subscribe. Continue to leave us ratings and reviews on your favorite podcast player, as well as our YouTube channel. And on the Anchor app, if you listen to us there, you can also leave us voice messages that we can incorporate into future episodes, because we love sharing all the information that you guys can give us and the feedback as well. And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.